Hello once again everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Battle of the Heroes and Villains. So, today we are taking a look at the Queen herself, Jeminya Malum. And let's take a look at the scores. As you can see here, 87.1% of voters gave her an A, 12.9% of voters gave her a B, and no one gave her a C or lower. Which, if you add it all up and consider A a score of 5 and F a score of 1, means Jeminya gets a final score of 4.87, which currently puts her in third place behind Jalaram and Faye, but ahead of Ivan. So, what did our fans think of her to give her that rating? Well, let's take a look at it. To start off, we've got a rather long comment from Alicia.
Look, my aunt is the coolest and totally deserved better than being tortured by Granddad for my entire existence. Plus, she taught me how to use my swords better, and she can fix Hubert. Archetype always had trouble with that. So I give the pointy letter A because it's nice and stabby like her. Love, Hannah. Did I do that right?
Yes, thank you for that, Hannah. Appreciated. Anyway, as I said, we've got a rather long comment from Alicia Lene, who says, "Oh, this was a hard one, but I voted B. Jeminya is a great character, a great fighter, noble queen, and a loving family member, but with what she withheld, though she thought it was best, it did rub me the wrong way a bit, especially when I rewatched the series. Now, I'm basing this on season 1 to 3, I'm only roughly 2 to 4 episodes in, with having only commented on the first episodes of season 4. I know she does great by what others have said, so I apologise. When we meet her, she's been dethroned and forced to fight in the arena for entertainment and takes on a werewolf form, portraying she's human with lycanthrope conditions. This is deceitful, yes, but seen as needed to hide what she really is. This is understandable, but she early on trusted the party with the knowledge she was the former queen. This was insanely risky. As much of a risk as it would have been to reveal what she was under the magic hiding her true form. If the party hadn't been good people, they could have ganged up on her or used some method of deceit to knock her out and auction her off for a huge bounty, or returned her to Simula for a reward. Because she took that risk, her withholding valuable information about the limits or extent of her sister's power and how far she'll go for entertainment bothers me a bit. It could have helped a freaking load if the group was in the know to watch out for anything that seemed off. Maybe Faye or someone could have been subtly using detect magic to sense if anyone was using or giving off a school of magic. That would have clued them in very quick if the user was close enough that something was up before the Dwarven King nearly/did die, and that something was up with the Queen, if she was there. I can't remember at this moment, as disguise magic or transformation magic would have given off a school clue to the one using detect magic. Then there was with the two succubi, I believe they were. I don't think they were sirens. Crap memories confuse them. Anyway, with Jal's mother, when they found her underground in that tunnel system, she could have said that those two women were like her and not to kill them. Just disable them, and she knows another who is like her that can help those get back to their loved ones. But she didn't. She didn't try and say, don't kill them, just knock them out and I have someone who can help them get home or anything. Then at the end, when they learned what she was and fought Jeminya, she verbally went after them for killing one of the two women, and about how a child has to grow up without their mother. That is not fair behaviour, since on the ship later on she gave a lecture type speech, if memory serves, to Rose and put Rose in charge when it came to the Kraken fight. When they found Simula weakened and needing help, she was distrustful but still had some trust towards Simula, and Amber, it turned out, was right to distrust her since it was a setup for Simula to get some interesting fun, and other things she wanted for her to open up a bloodbath on the mortal plane. And when it was shown she had fallen into Simula's hands yet again like a proper working toy, to try and end herself to end Simula when she knows the party would do what they could to bring her back yet again as they had in the labyrinth. I can't blame her for getting dragged to hell, but she didn't exactly reveal much after the party knew what she was, of who her parents were, who her grandparents were on both sides, in order for the group to know that they would be having grandfather God of the Abyss to possibly worry about, since they took away his granddaughter after her death in the labyrinth. I don't think they could have planned for that exactly, but still, informing them would have let them know what they might be in for with regards to her bloodline. I do praise her for her strength to not become a broken mess in hell under torture by her own grandfather's hand. I also praise the fact that she went down the path of a paladin to do good and not evil like her kind are normally known to do. I am also in awe of her selflessness when she sacrificed herself in place of Amber with a big beastie in the labyrinth that I'm spacing on the name of. She put a lot of trust in the party and their skills. She helped them grow, but her withholding information as much as she did, even though she thought in the moment that was the best move, rubbed me the wrong way, since giving people more information that's helping you will help them better perform in what you have tasked them with. I do know from what others have said, Jeminya returns purified and helps free Faye from crazy mental woman, so I'm glad for that. The thing is though, when she willingly goes into the Astral Diamond to purify, the country has no ruler. The party could have taken down Simula, disarmed her and made her unable to cast magic, close off the portal and then use the diamond on Jeminya so she could rest, and the party works to get things back in order while she rests for a year. The land had no leader, technically for how long it took the party in hell to get her back, so it would have been a difference outside of probably keeping away from her grandfather easier because he might have had a harder time getting her while she was inside a diamond under Faye's watch or inside of another plane like a demi-plane. She's amazing and I love her, but the secret keeping and some choices brought me to rate her a B. A set of excellent points by Alicia, however I do find myself disagreeing on a few accounts, though agreeing on several others. The point about her keeping secrets when she had already been trusting the party with several things is a strong flaw, though personally I feel that the flaw actually increases the ranking because it makes the character more dynamic. Though of course this system is rated however you want it according to whatever criteria you'd like to use. Simply speaking my own thoughts here. However, there are a few things I do feel were a little unfair. For example, when it comes to her not telling them about her grandfather, now Josh could obviously correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I don't think she actually knew. I'm not entirely sure she knew who her mother was. Certainly she knew her mother was a devil, but I'm not sure Glazier ever, when she was a child, divulged the fact that she was an Archduchess of Hell, much less the daughter of Asmodeus herself. It is entirely possible that Jeminya didn't learn about that until she herself was dragged to Hell and ended up meeting her grandfather face to face for the first time. Yes, I say first because, as we've learned, when she was first killed by the Bala, that's the name of the creature in the labyrinth, she was dragged to the Abyss, not to Hell, so she didn't actually encounter Asmodeus that time. Still, these are definitely flaws of hers, and while I can give explanations to why she thought certain ways, for example, the reason she did not speak up in the defense of the succubi is because she believed that if she did, they would simply identify her as a demon herself or a demon lover, and they just try to kill her along with the other succubi. Not a good reason, but a reason nonetheless, but as said, even a reason still makes it a flaw. Anyway, up next we have a comment from Noid Brightclaw. I give Gem an A. Fucking hell! What do I say about a warrior... Okay, I'm gonna stop that now. What do I say about our warrior queen? She's such a great character. She goes from queen of a country to an exile to the leader of a band of misfits to the face of a liberation army, and then back to being a queen again, if only for a short time. From everything we've seen of her, from her vulnerable moments to her brave and epic moments to heartwarming and heartbreaking times, we've practically been with her the entire way through. Even with her revealed to be a tiefling, there was never really been a moment where I've rooted against her. She's such a charismatic person. Hell, she speeched her way into people's hearts and got them to start accepting tieflings as a species in a more positive light. She even set up a kingdom for Hana to rule down the line and made sure that she was ready for it. She'd have even gone as far as to adopt Hana as her own should things have gone wrong. We know what happened in the end, but that's for a later time. I honestly can't think of a single bad moment that we've had with Gem, aside from character driven and all that. Just a massive A. And, again, very excellent points from Noid, though I get the suspicion, and I could be wrong here, that Noid has not seen past Season 3. Though, I could be wrong, but it does feel all of this seems to be Season 1 and 2 only, so it's possible that Noid has not seen the rest of Jeminya, and I'd be very curious to see how his opinion of her adjusts over time, if my assessment is correct. Up next, we have a comment from Creative Burst. I give Gem an A, 1, because a tiefling dedicating themselves to the cause of good is one of my favourite character concepts, plus she's an example of the dreaded DMPC done right. She had her own standout moment, but never outshined anyone at the party. She was both tough and feminine, a true paladin and a loyal friend. She helped form and guide the party on their quest and was the party's greatest ally. Then we have a comment from Darkwind. Jeminya's character development for the series has been astounding. Not only that, but she acted as the catalyst for much of the main party to grow themselves. She pointed out their flaws, bold-faced, and most of them genuinely tried to change. She was the ship while Rose was the rudder, which steered the party's actions. If she wasn't such a good character, the party wouldn't have been so invested in saving her from Bartor. She was pretty much the paragon of her race. A. Then we have a comment from Void Astral Birth. Josh really made someone special out of the Queen of Direction. Maybe it would have been enough for her to just be a Mary Sue or the DM self-insert character to push the crew in certain story directions, but no. Jeminya seamlessly became one of the most well-developed characters in Welcome to the Show's story, and an easy favourite for, I'm sure, many people. I realised this right about when the Labyrinth and the dreaded Balor was introduced. Her death legitimately shocked me, and her reveal as a tiefling was super intriguing, especially since she had taken up the role of a holy paladin. Everything after that, like her equally shocking and complex family ties, was so well crafted and intense, and along this long and winding journey, the bond she made with the party and everyone around her really felt genuine. Welcome to the Show wouldn't be the same without her. Queen Jeminya was a truly inspirational force, a leader, a hero, an absolute and undeniable A. And I'm noticing a pattern, which is people are praising how well developed Jeminya is, and how she stood head and shoulders above what was expected from a GNPC. And this is a fact that I absolutely agree with. For those who may potentially be less familiar with some of the expectations around D&D, there is a stereotype, and unfortunately not a completely unfounded stereotype, that when a GM creates a PC for themselves, that PC tends to hog the spotlight, and is a vessel not for creating a character or developing the story, but merely for the GM's own ego. Basically, they become a cross, to put it in the terms many of you will be very familiar with. Except a cross that has the backing of the narrator of the story, so equally insufferable. But as has been noted, Jeminya wasn't like that at all, and most people who give advice to DMs suggest that DMs make the DMPC a background character, nondescript, nothing to take away the attention from the players. In other words, they expect the DMPC can only hope to, at best, if they really try hard not to be intrusive and annoying, the DMPC will hopefully get a grade of C and not a grade of F, which is the grade that is expected of most DMPCs. So, with that in mind, you consider the fact that Jeminya has a straight-up A grade for most people and doesn't go lower than a B. That is incredibly impressive. And, if I may, give a little bit of insight. When Josh and I were planning Season 4, Josh kind of wanted the last two seasons to be all he was really going to do with Jeminya. I think, and I genuinely don't remember if I'm 100% right about this, but I think he was even considering keeping her in the diamond for the rest of the campaign, because he was really paranoid that any more focus on her, any more development of her character would be taking away from the others and it would become intrusive. I urged him, no, she needs to get a closure to her story arc as much as everyone else. Everyone is getting a close to their story. Jalarum is, Faye is, Owen is, Rhyme hopefully will be, though I didn't know much about Rhyme at the time, so I kind of, gave the reins to Josh on that one. Ivan is, Amber is, they're all getting their big moments. Jeminya needed one too. People were too invested in Jeminya to have her story be, yeah, she went to the diamond and she comes back off screen. Or her coming back and nothing being done with the character. She needed to have a character apotheosis, and I suggested that needed to be her confronting Simula, because they never really had a proper one-on-one confrontation. Sure, a few snarky one-liners at one another, and yes, she had been involved in the battle against Simula, but the two of them, sister to sister, having that final one-on-one confrontation, whether that led to reconcile or a final showdown, they needed that. Jeminya needed that, and I really pushed for her to have it. Next, we have a two-part comment from Ace of Flames. Did somebody say Jeminya? So, yeah, she gets an A. Jeminya is my favourite character. She's to me what Celestia is to Josh. She's been through literal hell and back twice, and she came out on top, and I find her whole story very inspiring. Despite being the daughter of an archdevil and the granddaughter of who's basically the god of lawful evil, having fiendish influences and temptations in her very blood since the day she was born, she became one of the greatest heroes Alatastica ever saw. At first, her primary motivation for becoming a paladin and doing good deeds was to maybe, just maybe, earn a place in the upper planes despite her infernal heritage dooming her to hell. And then, when she actually did go to hell briefly after dying in the labyrinth, even if we later found out she would have gone to the abyss anyway since she was killed by a Bala, instead of abandoning her ideals and doing whatever she wants since she was damned anyway, as her sister did, she began doing things because they were the right thing to do instead. She is also a truly amazing leader and mum friend. She kept the party glued together even when she wasn't there. In Season 3, basically the only thing keeping the party together at that point was their united goal in saving Gem, helping boost everyone's character development along the way through a heart-to-heart, and did the same thing for Alatastica itself in Seasons 2 and 4, and even eventually managed to get a clinically sociopathic sister to change a little bit eventually. She stood as a shining example for tieflings everywhere, almost like a Welcome to Show equivalent of Dritz Duerden now that I think about it, and changed the world's view on them forever. Even as we see in Shadows of the Old World, there are still lingering prejudices remaining. She was also an example of this campaign making seemingly disastrous ideas work incredibly well, as DMPCs almost always crash and burn. But Josh always knew when to have her in the background to let the PCs shine and when to give her her own moment, and she is just as much a member of the family as any of them. She was the person who taught everyone around her how to be better. She was a true paragon. When I saw her mask reveal and boss fight in the Season 1 finale, with the amazing art and epic music, I knew that this story would become truly special to me. Oh, and I have a thing for noble tiefling girls, sue me. And finally, we have a comment from Zanril the Drow. I give Jeminya an A. DMPCs are commonly known for hogging the spotlight, stealing the wins from the actual players. Jeminya spat on the stereotypes and was a good character. She's like a Mary Sue in this regard. Just like a Mary Sue can be done right, so can a DMPC, but enough about the metagaming. Jeminya began as a guide to the characters. Her sister has usurped the throne and she was forced into battling others. As the story progressed, she went from being a guide to being equal to the rest of the team. And near the end, Jeminya feels more like a side character, but in a good way. The story began with Jeminya helping the rest of the party, and ended with the rest of the party not only being self-sufficient, but them being the ones helping her. Jeminya's role in the story was imperative in its own right. Her relation to the rest of the party was the perfect way to act as a control to show the growth of the rest of the party. To make a long story short, Jeminya was not a DMPC, she was a PC who just happened to be controlled by the DM. Sorry to be a bit pedantic here, but that kind of is, by definition, what a DMPC is. A DMPC is a PC controlled by the DM. It is simply in common execution that it becomes the problematic type of character that you and I have both discussed, which in my opinion is what separates the DMPC from a Mary Sue. See, a DMPC by itself is not a bad thing. A DMPC is simply a player character controlled by the DM. Inherently, that's neither good nor bad. Meanwhile, a Mary Sue, I believe you're simply mistaking with a high-powered character. A high-powered character is neither good nor bad. However, the definition of a Mary Sue is a character that is so untouchable that you are bored because it removes all conflict from the story. In other words, a DMPC is a character archetype. A Mary Sue is an example of bad execution. Still, my pedanticness aside, these were excellent points from Zanrul the Drow, and I hope you enjoyed this, because next time we'll be taking a look at a lesser known character as we check out Grimjaw the Green Dragon. Thank you all for coming, see you next time.